Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking you on a quick tour to give you an inside look at Soshanguve Mall, located north of Pretoria in Gauteng, South Africa. #Soshanguve Mall. The complete guide: shopping, safety, prices and what tourists should know. Imagine you are traveling through Gauteng, just outside Pretoria, and you suddenly find yourself standing in front of one of the newest and most talked about shopping destinations in Soshanguve. This is Soshanguve Mall. But this is not simply another place to buy clothes, groceries, or grab something to eat. The story behind this mall is much bigger. It is a story about the transformation of a community, the growth of township retail, new business opportunities, employment, modern shopping, and the changing face of Soshanguve. So, in today's video, we are going to take a full tour without physically walking through the mall and answer the questions many people are asking. How big is Soshanguve Mall? Why was it built? What is the idea behind the mall? What can you actually buy there? Is it safe for shoppers? What should tourists know before visiting? Are foreigners charged more than locals? And, most importantly, what is the overall customer experience? Let's get started. Soshanguve Mall is located in Soshanguve, north of Pretoria, in Gauteng, South Africa. The official mall website gives the location as Buitkant Street, Soshanguve, South Africa. For navigation, map listings identify the mall at approximately 6610 Itsosang Street, Soshanguve HH, 0164. If you are using Google Maps or another navigation app, my recommendation is simple: search specifically for Soshanguve Mall before starting your journey, because Soshanguve also has another major shopping center called Soshanguve Crossing. And this is an important distinction. Soshanguve Mall is not the same as Soshanguve Crossing. They are separate shopping destinations. Soshanguve Crossing is the older, established regional mall, while the new Soshanguve Mall is the major redevelopment that replaced the former Soshanguve Plaza site. The new mall officially opened its doors on November 21, 2025. And what a transformation it was! The project was developed on the site of the former Soshanguve Plaza, turning an older retail location into a much larger, modern shopping destination. The scale is impressive. Depending on how the development is measured, sources describe the main retail mall as approximately 55,500 square meters, while other project information describes the wider retail precinct as around 60,000 square meters when the value center is included. The development was delivered in phases. The Soshanguve Mall Value Center opened earlier, in April 2024, before the main mall opened in November 2025. The completed development brought together more than 200 retail and commercial tenants. That means this is not a small neighborhood shopping center. It is a major retail destination designed to serve a large and diverse community. And the idea behind the mall is particularly interesting. The developers did not want to create a shopping center that felt disconnected from Soshanguve. Instead, the concept was to create a place that reflects the identity, history, culture, and diversity of the area. The official message behind the mall is a home to many, open to all. That idea is important. The mall is designed to be more than a place where people come to spend money. It is intended to be a meeting place, a social space, a place where families can spend time together, a place where young people can meet friends, a place where local residents can access major national retailers without traveling long distances into Pretoria, and a place where local businesses and entrepreneurs can also find opportunities. The architecture itself was influenced by the local environment and the cultural diversity of Soshanguve. One of the inspirations mentioned by the architects is the Tsaiang meteor crater and the natural heritage of the region. The design also aims to celebrate the multicultural character of Soshanguve. So, in a way, the mall is trying to combine modern retail with local identity. And that is one of the most interesting things about this development. It is not simply about building more shops. It is about changing the experience of shopping in the community. Now, let's talk about the stores. The tenant mix is designed to cover almost everything an ordinary shopper might need. You can find major supermarkets and grocery retailers. You can find fashion. You can find footwear. You can find mobile phone and technology services. You can find banks and financial services. You can find pharmacies. You can find restaurants and fast food outlets. You can find homeware and furniture. And there are also services for everyday life. The official tenant list includes names such as ShopRite, Spar, Woolworths, Pep, Ackermans, Mr. Price, Mr. Price Sport, Jet, Markham, American Swiss, Clicks, Capitec, Cash Build, Cash Crusaders, KFC, Burger King, Mug and Bean, Milky Lane, Roman's Pizza, Debonair's, Chicken Licken, Hungry Lion, Pedro's, and many others. The exact tenant mix can change, so if you are traveling specifically to visit a particular store, I recommend checking the mall's official store directory before you go. For shoppers, this is one of the mall's biggest advantages. You do not need to visit 5 different parts of the city to complete your shopping. You can potentially buy groceries, get your phone sorted, visit the bank, buy clothes, eat lunch, and pick up household items all in one trip. Now let's talk about the customer experience. Because the mall is relatively new, the experience is different from shopping in an older, smaller center. The design is modern. The shopping environment is intended to feel clean, spacious, and contemporary. The mall also represents a significant upgrade from the old Soshanguve Plaza that previously occupied the site. But there is something important to remember. This mall opened very recently. That means the long-term customer review picture is still developing. At the time of our research, map-based public listings showed a rating of approximately 4.1 out of 5 for Soshanguve Mall based on more than 1,000 reviews. That is a useful sign, but it should not be treated as a perfect measurement of the entire shopping experience. Why? Because online reviews can change. Some people review the shops. Some review parking. Some review security. Some review individual restaurants. And some reviews may even relate to older experiences at the previous shopping development or nearby locations. So my overall assessment would be this. Soshanguve Mall appears to be receiving generally positive public feedback, but because it is a relatively new development, visitors should judge the experience for themselves. Now, one of the biggest questions people ask is Soshanguve Mall safe? The honest answer is that no shopping mall in any major city can guarantee zero crime. Soshanguve is part of the Greater Pretoria region, and visitors should use normal urban safety awareness. The mall itself is a modern, professionally managed shopping environment, but safety does not mean you should switch off your common sense. If you are visiting during the day, you will generally find a busy retail environment with families, workers, students, and shoppers. However, I would recommend being more cautious when arriving or leaving, particularly if you are unfamiliar with the area. Keep your car locked. Do not leave bags, laptops, cameras, or phones visible inside your vehicle. Pay attention when walking through parking areas. Avoid displaying large amounts of cash. Keep your phone secure when you are not using it. And if you are traveling with expensive cameras or professional filming equipment, be discreet. This is especially important for tourists. The biggest safety mistake a visitor can make is assuming that because they are inside a modern shopping mall, they can completely forget about their surroundings. Enjoy yourself. But stay alert. If something feels uncomfortable, move toward a busier area or ask mall staff or security for assistance. Another good tip is to plan your transportation before you arrive. If you are using a taxi or ride-hailing service, know where you will be picked up. If you are driving yourself, remember where you parked. And if you are visiting for the first time, consider going during busy daytime shopping hours rather than arriving very late. Now let's talk about tourists. Is Soshanguve Mall a tourist attraction? Well, I would not describe it as a traditional tourist attraction in the same category as the Union Buildings, the cradle of humankind, or a wildlife reserve. You do not travel to Soshanguve Mall specifically to see an ancient monument or a famous landmark. Instead, the mall is interesting for a different reason. It gives visitors an opportunity to see modern South African township life. It shows how retail, culture, business, transportation, and community development come together. For an international visitor, the experience can be quite different from shopping in a luxury mall in Sandton or central Pretoria. Here, you are seeing a retail environment that is closely connected to the everyday lives of the local community. You can observe the brands people actually use. You can experience local food options. You can see how South African retail operates. And you can also explore Soshanguve itself. If you are a tourist, I would recommend combining a visit to the mall with other attractions in the broader Pretoria and Gauteng region rather than making the mall your only destination. The mall can be your shopping stop, your food stop, or your meeting point. But the wider area is where you can experience more of the culture and history. Now, here is another question that many international visitors ask. Do foreigners pay more than locals at Soshanguve Mall? The answer is: there is no verified evidence that Soshanguve Mall has a general policy of charging foreigners more than South African citizens for the same products. In normal formal retail stores, prices are generally displayed or processed through standard retail systems. A t-shirt with a price tag is normally the same price whether you are South African, American, Nigerian, British, Indian, Chinese, or from any other country. The same applies to major supermarkets, pharmacies, fast food chains, and national retailers. So, if someone tells you that Soshanguve Mall has one price for locals and another price for foreigners, you should ask them to provide evidence. There is an important distinction, however. South Africa does have informal markets and small independent businesses where prices may sometimes be negotiable. In those situations, different customers may receive different offers. But that is not the same thing as an official mall policy. At a formal shopping center with national retail chains, prices are generally standardized. Tourists should also remember that exchange rates can make prices feel cheaper or more expensive depending on where you come from. For example, a visitor using US dollars, British pounds, euros, or another currency may convert the South African rand and feel that certain products are affordable. But that is an exchange rate difference, not a foreigner surcharge. Now let's talk about shopping costs. One of the advantages of a large mall like this is that you have choices. You can shop at major supermarkets. You can compare brands. You can choose between fast food and sit-down dining. And you can decide how much you want to spend. But tourists should not assume that everything is automatically cheap. International brands and premium products can still be expensive. If you want to save money, compare prices between stores, look for promotions, and remember that South African retailers often run special deals and loyalty programs. Now, what about food? This is another area where the mall can be interesting for visitors. You have familiar international-style fast food and South African chain restaurants, but the real experience comes from seeing how local shoppers use the mall as part of everyday life. For tourists, I recommend trying some South African food during your trip rather than eating only familiar international brands. The mall can be a convenient place to start, but don't stop your culinary adventure there. Explore local restaurants and food businesses in the wider Soshanguve and Pretoria area as well. Now, let's discuss the biggest strengths of Soshanguve Mall. First, location. It is positioned to serve a major community north of Pretoria. Second, size. With the main development measuring tens of thousands of square meters and more than 200 tenants across the wider retail offering, it is a significant shopping destination. Third, Convenience. You have groceries, fashion, banking, food, technology, homeware, and services in one place. Fourth, the tenant mix. The presence of major national retailers means shoppers have access to brands they already know. And fifth, the community vision. The mall was designed to be more than a commercial property. It was presented as a place for community, inclusion, opportunity, and economic participation. The development has also been associated with significant job creation and local economic opportunities. That is perhaps the most important part of the story. A mall is not just about the buildings. Behind every shop are employees. Behind every restaurant are workers. Behind every delivery are drivers. Behind every construction project are tradespeople. And behind every successful retail center is an ecosystem of businesses and jobs. So when you look at Soshanguve Mall, you are also looking at a much bigger story about economic development. But there are also some things visitors should keep in mind. Number 1. The mall is new, so the tenant mix may continue to evolve. Number 2. Check opening times before traveling, especially on Sundays and public holidays. Number 3. Do not confuse Soshanguve Mall with Soshanguve Crossing. Number 4. Use normal personal safety precautions. Number 5. If you are a tourist, plan your transportation in advance. Number 6. If you are carrying expensive equipment, be discreet. And number 7. Do not assume that every online review tells the whole story. Visit, experience it yourself, and make your own judgment. So, what is my final verdict? Soshanguve Mall represents a major new chapter for shopping in Soshanguve. It is large. It is modern. It has a broad selection of national and local retailers. And, most importantly, it was designed with the idea that a modern shopping center can also become a community gathering place. For local residents, it offers convenience and access. For businesses, it offers opportunities. For families, it provides a modern place to shop and spend time together. And for tourists, it offers a window into a part of South African urban life that is often overlooked by traditional travel guides. Would I recommend visiting? Yes, especially if you are already in the Pretoria and Soshanguve area and want to experience a major modern township shopping destination. Would I recommend traveling across South Africa just to visit the mall? Probably not. There are many other attractions you should combine with your trip. But if you are nearby, Soshanguve Mall is certainly worth putting on your itinerary. And remember, the mall is not the whole story. The real story is Soshanguve itself. A community with history. A community with culture. A community that continues to grow. And now, a community with a new retail landmark that is trying to become more than just a place to shop. It is trying to become a place where people meet, connect, work, eat, celebrate, and build their future. That is the story of Soshanguve Mall. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And tell us in the comments. Have you visited Soshanguve Mall yet? What was your experience? Was the mall clean? How was the parking? How was the security? Which shop was your favorite? And if you are watching from outside South Africa, would you visit Soshanguve Mall during your next trip to Gauteng? Let us know in the comments. Until the next video, stay safe, keep exploring, and remember, the best way to understand a place is not always to look at it from the outside. Sometimes, you have to walk through its doors. See you in the next one.